Zimbabweans are the latest batch of immigrants to return home after xenophobic violence in South Africa, describing beatings, robbery and threats from anti-migrant groups. Nearly 21,300 have been repatriated by the government in 5 weeks, with 56,800 more self-repatriating. Here's the latest from Johannesburg and Durban.
The South African government says more than 53,000 foreign nationals have been deported or repatriated since launching a migration management campaign 5 weeks ago. Most were from Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, officials say, and the number is likely to rise as repatriations and deportations continue. South Africa is carrying out one of its biggest crackdowns on undocumented migrants in years, following weeks of anti-immigration protests that have seen violence, intimidation, and looting. Protesters have been demanding tighter border controls and mass deportations, accusing migrants of contributing to high unemployment, rising crime rates, and collapse of public services. The UN has warned against using migrants as scapegoats for South Africa's socio-economic challenges. Anti-migrant activists have threatened to stage weekly protests to pressure the government until their demands are met, and there are fears the protests could turn violent. The demonstrators had set an unofficial deadline of June 30th for all undocumented migrants to leave the country, which has seen many foreigners leave to escape violence and intimidation. Several countries, including Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, and Kenya, have flown their citizens home in recent weeks.
A group of young men suddenly appeared and started beating me with metal bars on the head and my backbone. The backbone was beaten so much that each time I cough, it is so painful.
When the March protests started, life became hard. First, I lost my job. After losing a job, I went back home to my rental home, and the landlord refused to take my rent money, even though it was the end. The most painful thing is that I had property in my house, but I could not sell it or transport it with me, as the protesters were saying, "You bought it here, it belongs to South Africa, so I cannot take it with me."
Justice and Constitutional Development Minister Mameloko Kubayi announced that 53,499 foreign nationals have been processed. She said, the repatriation and deportation process has helped them catch people who were wanted by the police for alleged criminal activity. The economic cost of the protests and its after effects is staggering. Business owners who are mostly Afrikaners or white South Africans are reporting huge losses. The Afrikaners are the ones who employ most foreign laborers because they claim most locals are lazy and most resort to crime when they turn down. In most cases, most of the businesses in Durban and Johannesburg are built and owned by foreign African nationals. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has acknowledged public concerns about immigration, but has condemned attacks against migrants, warning citizens against taking the law into their own hands.
There is no place for racism in our country, no place for sexism, for xenophobia, for Afrophobia, or any other form of intolerance.
Ghana postponed a visit by Ramaphosa following xenophobic rallies that resulted in hundreds of Ghanaians being repatriated from his country. Ramaphosa had long planned a visit to Ghana in the first week of August, and it had been hoped this would help de-escalate tensions between the two nations. But many in Ghana feared his presence would lead to mass protests there. South Africa is the continent's wealthiest nation and has long attracted migrants searching for better economic opportunities, some of whom enter illegally. Africa Bureau, WION World is one.